Hi, today is the last of our study of Satan and how Satan hinders evangelism. We've looked over the last number of weeks how Satan blinds the minds of the unbelievers, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 3 and 4. How he snatches the word away from the people who hear, Matthew chapter 13, verses 4 through 19. How that Satan does deceptive signs and wonders, Matthew 24:24 and 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9. How that he uses people to hinder other people from believing. And we looked at Acts chapter 13, verses 10 and 11 about that. We looked last week at how he hinders mission efforts and evangelistic efforts in general. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 17 and 18. And today, for the last time, I want us to look at this. And this is really an odd one that you find in Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. While he's writing to the church at Smyrna, Jesus said, "Do not fear what you're about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison that you may be tested for 10 days, and you will have tribulation. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life." Sometimes Satan persecutes Christians to the point that he even throws them in prison and possibly at times kills them. He says, some of you will have to be faithful until death. In other words, death is going to come. I think this is a reflection of what Peter says in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, when he says, Satan prowls about like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same experience of suffering is required of your brotherhood throughout the world. There's an experience of suffering that Satan will bring to children of God. How does he do that? Do you know that in the 20th century, that more people were killed for faith in Christ than there were killed in the first century for their faith in Christ? Do you know that in the 21st century that we are on track, that more people will die in the 21st century for the name of Christ than those who died in the 20th century? Martyrdom is a real thing. Going to prison for faith in Christ is a real thing. There are nations on earth where that if you are known to be a Christian, it may mean your life, it may mean your imprisonment. Satan still persecutes Christians throughout our world. And can I just say something that while that time has not come to us in America, that America is becoming increasingly hostile to Christian principles, and those who stand on them are often subject to prosecution. I think about the people who, because of their faith in Christ, chose not to do a cake for a gay couple, and as a result of that, their business suffered. I think about a number of folks in our time who are in difficult times because of that. I think about the fact that it is against a city ordinance in the city of San Francisco for any minister in a church building on Sunday to preach a sermon that says that homosexuality is a sin. And I'm not trying to pick on homosexuals. That's not my point. My point is that we're living in a time where things are increasingly hostile. Satan is moving as rapidly as he can because every heartbeat that we have is bringing him closer to the day of his final destruction, and he knows it. And so he's doubling his efforts in our time to try his best to persecute people and cause them to leave the faith. I remember that in the days of Paul, he said concerning what he did, that he persecuted Christians and sought to have them blaspheme the Lord. He was violent against them. Those days may not be as far away from us as we think. We have to decide, am I going to serve Satan or am I going to serve God? And it may very well cost you your freedom, and it could someday cost you your life. If it does, it's worth it. Greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. Never forget it. Greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. That's 1 John chapter 4, verse 4. I want you to say that to yourself personally several times a day and say it personally. Greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. God bless you.